Today's episode of Off the Timeline is titled Cincinnati Didn't Wait, and that's what changed everything. What if, in 2011, Cincinnati made a coaching hire that quietly changed how the sport evaluated them? Not because it was flashy, not because it made headlines, but because it told conference offices something they weren't ready to hear. Cincinnati wasn't planning to survive realignment, they were planning to outlast it. And the most destabilizing part, they didn't wait for permission. And that sets the table for the hire that changed the room. In this alternate universe, Cincinnati hires Kyle Whittingham in 2011. The initial reaction is muted. Nationally, it's framed as solid, sensible. But inside conference offices, the read is different. Whittingham doesn't bring chaos, he brings structure. And structure signals something dangerous in realignment eras. This school is thinking long term. The Big East, already fragile, assumes Cincinnati is still aligned with league survival. That assumption is very wrong, but it won't be exposed immediately. And this sets the table for the Big East misread. By late 2011, leaks emerged suggesting Cincinnati is planning regardless of alignment. That language terrifies the Big East. Why? Because conferences survive on coordination, and Cincinnati has stopped coordinating. West Virginia moves first, not out of ambition, but out of fear. Once they leave, the Big East doesn't collapse loudly. It desynchronizes. Cincinnati doesn't make threats. They don't rally the league. They just keep operating. That's when administrators realize something unsettling. Cincinnati already knows the Big East won't make it. And that sets the table for how things diverge in this alternate universe from reality. The main thing is Cincinnati does not wait several years. By 2013, they make a private decision. We need stability now, not the perfect future. They rule out waiting on the Big Ten, public courtship games being the last one holding the bag. And in 2014, they act. Cincinnati commits the Big 12 much earlier than in our universe, effective 2015. Not as a power move, but as an insurance policy. And that sets the table to the transition years. The move doesn't instantly turn Cincinnati into a juggernaut, and that's why it works. In 2014, they go 9-4. Their first Big 12 season in 2015, they go 8-5. They don't dominate, but they don't embarrass themselves. They travel well, they look prepared. Inside the Big 12, the early reaction is simple. They're better than advertised. And that sets the table to the Big 12 realization that they bought a floor, not a story. In 2016, something shifts internally. Cincinnati isn't discussed as a new ad, a favor, a compromise. They're discussed as reliable inventory, a program that stabilizes the middle. On the field, they go 10-3 in 2016, 9-4 in 2017. And this matters because leagues don't need every school to be elite. They need schools that don't collapse, don't panic, and don't require protection. Cincinnati quietly becomes one of those schools, and that raises a very uncomfortable thought. If they were still outside, we'd be chasing them. And that sets the table to the Big Ten regret without panic. The Big Ten doesn't freak out. They do something more realistic. They rerun the math. They realize Cincinnati didn't stall, they didn't beg, and they didn't lose relevance by choosing stability. That was the assumption that leaving early would cap their upside. Instead, it removes volatility. On the field, they go 10-2 in 18, 11-2 in 2019, and 9-1 in 2020. Now, the question inside the Big Ten isn't urgency, it's replacement value. And replacement value is a much colder conversation. And that sets the stage to the window closing without a sound. By 2021, Cincinnati is no longer an aspirant. They're a functioning power program. They go 12-1 in 2021, national relevance, no desperation. Inside Big Ten rooms, someone finally says it out loud. We didn't miss Cincinnati. We just let them become someone else's problem. That's the moment the window closes. Not with a vote, not with a rejection, but with timing. And that sets the table for the end state. From 22 to 25, nothing really takes off like a rocket. And that's the point. 10 and 3 in 22, 11 and 2 in 23, 10 and 2 in 2024, 9 and 3 in 2025. Cincinnati doesn't become dominant, they become normal at a high level, and normalcy is what conferences actually value. The irony? By choosing stability early, Cincinnati removed the chaos from their own future and pushed it outward. Realignment stories usually revolve around ambition. This one revolves around restraint. Cincinnati didn't wait to be chosen. They chose early, quietly, realistically. And by the time everyone else realized what that meant, there was nothing left to negotiate. If you like this kind of slow burn, institutional chaos, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Because the most dangerous moves in college football history are usually the ones that felt boring at the time.